Today we're going to look at a few useful things that you can do within Excel, just to give you a little bit of a refresher maybe on some of the things in Excel, or to hopefully show you a few things that are new, that are useful for teachers and possibly anybody really, but we'll look at it from a teacher's perspective. Why not? So we're just going to play around with creating a grade book, a kind of record keeping kind of thing. But a lot of this you might find that you need to do for other reasons. So what I'm going to start, this is what we're going to build, something a little bit like that, with some scores, some percentages, putting pass and fail marks in automatically without you having to type them, working out the percentages automatically if we needed, putting some comments in, maybe allowing us to choose a different risk level and have some options there. And we're going to have a look at different ways of producing some statistics out of it and some ways that you can remove some issues that you might well have. So let's have a little bit of an explore on another Excel spreadsheet that's kind of starting off with just something a little bit basic, more basic. Okay, so we're just going to do a few little bits of housekeeping that I'd like to do just to make things a little bit more organized. I'm just down the bottom, you can see we have the sheet 1, sheet 2. This isn't necessary, it's just an extra thing. I'm just going to give them different names. So I like to use different sheets of different things. So being able to rename, you right click and then you click rename. Let's have we'll call that one data. I'm just going to rename that one. Call it stuff, because I've got no more imagination left today to think of a better name. So stuff is just going to have things that I need, like the ratings that we're going to look at later. And data is going to have our main data. So just a few other little things that are useful to know in case you didn't know them is you can change the width of the columns just by going in between the columns till you get that kind of shape. You can see my cursor now is kind of got 2 lines, and I can click and I can drag and move and change the width. You can also, the width of the columns. You can also change the height of the rows if you really want to as well. So the first problem I've got here is that I've got some names and I maybe just want to have a nice looking full name. The way to do that within Excel is to create a formula. So you might already have played around with mathematical formulas. So if you had 2 numbers and you wanted to add them together into this box, you would start off with an equals. You click on one number and it will give you the reference. So here, this one's C15. So you can see it's colored in blue, but you could track from the top, there's C, and go across to get 15. But it's easy enough just to, if you click on it, it will give you the result that you want. And I want to add, so I'm just putting a plus, and I want to add this one. So just click. That's now colored in red. That's showing me how that formula works. So hopefully you know enough about formulas to make a start. So what I'd like to do here is just combine those two and probably put a space in. Now there are hundreds of different formulas that you can use and functions that you can use. If you click on this little F button at the top here, this F here, if you click on that, it will pop up either a list in the middle of your screen or it might be on the side here. There are lots of different ones, and you can go down these and you'll find things that you never even knew existed. But the one I'm interested in is this one, concat. I'm just going to click on it and then click insert function. Now, it's giving you a helper function here. When you get good, you'll be able to type these things in yourself. But I want to join together this one, so I'm just going to click on it, and then I'm just going to click on plus. I want to have a space, so I have to put in quotes a space because I don't want it to be straight next to each other. And then I want to add another one. I want to add this one. Yeah, sorry, let's start again. There's my space. Click in the next box, and I want to add that one. There we go. So we've got 3 boxes with 3 different things in. And again, the colors are here to give you a bit of a help. If I press enter now, oh sorry, click on done down here, you can see it's now created hello world down there for us. And if we look at the top here, you can see the full formula, which is what I would type now. I've done it for a good number of times. I'll show you how I would do it. Instead, I would just type in concat, open brackets, a curved bracket. I want to add that, put a comma in, and put my space in quotes, then another comma. So it's a list. And that list could go on. Let's put a full stop on the end. So I've added together 4 different things there. In fact, you can see it over here. It's done it for me. So you can kind of use both and look across to make sure it looks okay. And then click on done. So now I've got hello world, full stop. So let's just tidy that up. So I want to manipulate the names. It's quite common when we download stuff from other systems that you have to play around with the names a bit to get them in the format that you want. Maybe the order is wrong. So I'm going to use concat, and I want to join the first name, comma, then a space in quotes, comma, and then the last name, and then close brackets to finish it off. And then we've got James Brown. So we've done the first one, and then we can then drag that down. So you just go to the, I'll show you how to do that again. You go to the corner here, you'll see a little black square when I do this, or green square, sorry. You move your mouse over that green square so it changes to a black cross. And then you can hold your mouse and drag down, and it will copy that formula. So if we look now, you see it's copied those formulas. That's pretty standard Excel stuff. Okay, now I don't need both these. So one of the things that I can then do is just click on the name and then drag across. So I've got 2 columns, and then I'm right clicking with my mouse, and I've got the option to hide. So I'm just going to hide those. Now you can always tell if something is hidden because you can see that it doesn't start at A and B. They've disappeared, and they're kind of here. If you move your mouse into that corner, you can right click and click unhide, and it will bring them back again. So let's hide them again. So anytime you've got something you don't want to see, you can just hide it away. Okay, so next thing, let's have a look at these headings. I'm just going to highlight this row and just have a look at the format for that. So if I right click, you've got format cells. These are a little bit big, so I'm just going to go to the alignment and wrap text. That'll allow me to put things underneath each other. So that's a little bit better, so we can actually read what it's saying. If you don't do that, it just becomes quite hard to read. Fine. Okay, so now we need to work out a percentage. So let's say this was out of 60. So I need a formula for that. So the formulas always start with an equals. And then I need to do this number divided by 60. And that should be sufficient for a percentage when inside Excel. If you're doing it on a calculator, you probably multiply by 100. But let's just leave it. So we have this kind of decimal thing going on. And we'll fix that and make it look nice in a minute. So again, I'm just going to drag that down. And those are all the percentages as a decimal number. So I now click on this button here, the percentage button. It will change to be a nice looking decimal. I mean, nice looking percentage. If you want more decimal places, there's some buttons here where you can add another decimal place. So let's just do that again for this one. I'm going to start with an equals. Maybe this one is out of 70. So I'm just going to divide by 70. And then click and then drag it down. So, and then again, just click on format, and maybe I'll leave that one with no decimals on it, so it's not too fiddly. Now, that's great. Maybe we need to put some passes and failures. This is where an if statement is quite nice, an if function. You can look for it on here. If I click on that, you should be able to find if If you can't find it, type it in the search box up here at the top. You can just type in that little search box and it will let you find the if function. I've used it before, so it just appears here. So I'm going to insert one of those. Now the if function has kind of three parts. We've got some kind of logic. Now, hopefully you remember back to your maths from school, you would possibly come across, let me put it here, let's get rid of that. You possibly come across less than and more than, and on a computer you can do less than or equals and more than or equals. So those are things that we're going to use in a minute. Let's just go back here. So I'm just going to do a straight pass or fail. Maybe the pass rate is 60%. So, okay, sorry, I need to do it here. Let's start again. So I'm going to click on the function, find if, click on, then click on insert function, which is, sorry, I missed, you can't see it, right? It's here. Insert function. And you can see we have three parts. So we need some kind of logic. So the first thing is I need to look at this percentage. Now, if you remember, it was stored as a decimal. So it's not stored as 93, it's stored as 0.93. So I want to say if this number is less than 0.6, let's put the 0 in to make it clearer, 0.6, then I'm going to count that as a fail. So that would be true if it's a fail. So just like the space, I have to put quotes in because I've got some writing. And then I finish my quotes. And then same again, I'm going to do open quotes, pass, close quotes to give me a pass mark. So if I click on done, that should tell me. So that's quite a nice comfortable pass. And again, if I go to the square, I actually better drag down. There's only that one that's failed. So that had, as you can see here, has two parts. Sorry, three parts to it. You have a if, open brackets, so these functions all have brackets, open and close. It has the condition, and then it has the text, and then it has the true text, and then the false text. So basically we need to be more than or equal to 60% to get a pass. Maybe you want to give 3 comments. Now this gets a little bit more complicated. If that was a struggle, just don't worry for a minute. At least you've got something simple you can do. But maybe this will make sense. So I'm going to type it because I find that a little bit easier when we're doing 2 things. Now this time I want to have 2 marks. So maybe on this one, if you're less than 60, I want to say try harder. If you're in the middle, I'm going to say good. And if you're towards the further end of something, I'm going to say excellent. So I need to have 3 different answers. So let's start with my first one. I need to look at the percentage. So I just clicked on H1 here, H2. So let's do a low mark. Let's do less than 0.6. Let's do that. Now, if you remember last time we had 2 things. So I'm going to say this one is going to say try harder. So that's what will happen if it's less than 0.6. Now, what I need to do now is I've got to add another if inside this. As I said, this is where it becomes a little bit more complicated. But if you're careful, it's doable. So now I want to do if it's less than 80%, say good. So if, and then I'm going to click on that number again. It's less than 80% was 0.8. Then I want to say good. Don't forget the quotes for writing. And then the other choice then is what's left. The bit that's left is saying excellent. Now I've got to close the quotes for the first if, then I've got to close the quotes again for the last if. If I press enter now, hopefully that seems to be right. So it was, if it's less than 0.6, then try harder, which that one is. So let's just drag this down and see what happens. Hopefully we get So that one was more than 80%, more than 80%. Okay. Lovely. So we've managed to pull those together. That was a little bit hard. Let's just go on to put in a risk level, maybe a risk level of them not passing. And I want to be able to pick that myself. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. So what I've done on the other tab, I'll make that a little bit bigger, is I've put in the rating, the risks that I want to give. So you can just type any list of the phrases that you want to use. Again, this could be used for but any time you want to have multiple choice. So I click, having done that in advance, I go to where I want to put one of those. In fact, I want to put them all the way down here, so I'm just going to highlight that. Go off to data and just click on this one saying data validation. So data validation. I click on that. So here you can make lots of, if you're prone to making errors and typing things incorrectly, you can do a range of different things. So you can say, I only want whole numbers to be typed in those boxes, only decimals, times, and so on, you can see. And the one I'm going to use is a list. And then it's asking here for a source. So I'm just going to click on that little button. And I need to go and find that list, which is on stuff page. And just highlight the ones I want to use. And then I'm just click again up here on that little button. It should take me back to the page we had before. And then I can just click on OK. So now, when I click in these boxes, you'll get the choices that we get, that we set up. Let's go and just change some of those choices to, I don't know, excellent. Now, if you have a look, you should see the list has changed to excellent. If you try typing anything in here, it will just give you a message and make you try again or cancel it. Okay, so we've got, let's put some values in. You can use that same method of data validation to say only allow me to type numbers between 0 and 60. If you know that's the range of scores for this, and it will complain if you type in anything that's wrong. That's I probably don't do it very often, but I probably use these lists quite frequently. Okay, now let's have a look at producing an average score. Now you have some different there's an easy way of doing it, which is to put your average right underneath here. And you can do that if we go back to the home tab. So we're back in home. Over on the right, let's see if I can show you that over here. You've got auto sum. Now, we don't want to total. That's what auto sum, if you just click on that one, that will give you a total. If I just do that, you'll see it, and then press enter. That's the total of those percentages. Don't want that. What I do really want is to do an average. So I'm just going to click average. And you can see it's come up with a formula, average, and it's saying E2 from here down to here. You can just look at the picture. You don't need to really completely understand those numbers. You just need to look at those little marching ants that are going around, marching ant line, which is going around that box. So just press enter. I've got my average. Now it has tried to be clever and put in a comment there. I'm just going to delete that because I don't want it. That's great. And in fact, I could just copy. I've just highlighted that formula and click copy. In fact, we'll cut. I'm just going to put it. Try again. I'm going to cut. And I'm going to click, and I'm just going to put it here. So I'm right clicking and pasting. It's quite handy to be able to use the right mouse button to do things. So I've just moved it there to make it a bit nicer. But you can see it's just a formula. So let's just do another little formula. I'm going to start off with clicking on the function button up here. And then I'm going to look for count, which funny enough does a count. So what you need to do now is to tell it what to count. And you have to give it some numbers to count. So let's just count how many percentages we have. In fact, you can check if you look down here, there is a a result for that, which seems to match. So it looks like we've done the right thing. There we go, count 5. So I really meant to put those in the other columns. Let's just cut and paste. Those there. So we count the number of students. Maybe we want to count the number of passes. So this time I'm going to look for, I'm just going to do a search. So I'm in the search box up here. And I'm looking for count. If I type in count, you'll see there's lots of variations. I want to do count if. So this allows me to say only count if some condition is in effect. So it's now asking me for the range. So where do I want to count? Okay, so I'm going to count here. And the criteria, so that's like the if that we had before. But this time we just give it the criteria. We don't click anywhere else. So I just want to say if I want to count those people who are more than 0.6. Again, don't forget to close the quotes. And you can see a result. We've got a 4. Yeah, so it's 4 out of 5. So just click on done, and we've got a result of 4. So let's just reduce one of these then. If I change that one to 23, that should change the pass. We've changed that to a fail, and the count has gone down. Okay, so if we've got these two numbers, we can work out our percentage. So I'm just going to do this, do a little formula. So just start it by pushing equals. I need to do this one. The number of passes divided by, so on a computer, the divide is that slash sign, back the forward slash. So I got this one divided by this one. So the percentage divided by the count, and I've got this another decimal number again. So I can just click on percent, and that will give me a percentage pass score. Okay, so all doing quite well, quite nicely so far. But there's one common problem that you have with these kind of things is that somebody doesn't turn up. So they get a score of 0. And that comes up as a fail. Now, if you look at the average, what happened to the average? Let's go back. Now, the average has plummeted because that's now counted as a 0. If I just highlight those 4, and then if we look down the bottom in this area, you'll see you get, when you highlight things, you get lots of extra information. So it's telling me that I've highlighted 4, the average is 65%, not 52. So we need to have a way of excluding those. So we're going to use what you already know, some of the things. And I'm just going to get rid of this, and we'll start again with a new function. And this time I'm going to just do a search for average. Just like the count, we've got an average if. So I've inserted one of those. So it says range. So I want it to give me the percentages of those. Criteria. So just like we had before, I'm going to put in quotes, I'm going to put greater than 0. So this is saying only average if these numbers are greater than 0. So it will eliminate this one. So we should get the 60%, kind of mark 62, I think it was, 65, there we are. So if I make another one, so if I remove this one, the average should go up quite a bit, shouldn't it? There we go. So that puts us back on track, and it will filter out the ones that you don't need. Okay, so we've done some quite nice things. Let's just make it look a little bit nicer. If you highlight things, if you highlight the table, there's a nice little option here saying format table, and you can pick those. Make sure you have this one ticked because we have some headings. And then we've got something that looks a little bit nicer. I probably would turn off the filter button that's here so that you don't have those little filters. There you go. Quite nice looking. table. Hopefully you can use those techniques, the concatenate here, and those count ifs and average ifs, and that those data validation for setting up those, for doing other things. I hope that's been useful.